guys, this is Dormouse03.
And I'm Praetorian.
Welcome back to Ramblings of Mad People. And this is our December 2024 wrap-up. We are quite a ways into January already. It was holidays and illness and the end of the year last year was a difficult.
It was a whole thing.
Like the last few months of last year were difficult in terms of getting recording done and me getting editing done, and it was a show, but we have made it.
So I had a water leak 2 days before Christmas. We had no hot water or heating for 10 days. And then I was ill for 2 weeks in January, right at the start of the year. So recording has definitely had a few setbacks.
Right.
But we're finally here.
We're finally here, and we can wrap up the year. Well, I guess kind of wrap up the year. This isn't our yearly wrap up where we talk about the whole year, but it's the last month of the year. Let's just get into December. Goodness gracious Lord. So you did another challenge. I signed up for this challenge, but I think I only did one of the 12 days.
Yeah, so I signed up for the 12 Days of Christmas challenge on TT, which I'd done previously on TA a long time ago.
Yeah.
And man, was it annoying.
Yeah.
So I started for the challenge Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty DLC, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, The Outer Worlds PS5, Prey, God of War, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Control, Detroit Become Human, Coffee Talk 2, and Assassin's Creed Rogue. And then I used Guacamelee and Earthlock, which I'd started from the Alphabet Challenge back earlier in the year. Yeah. It was a whole thing. So the first day was get a DLC trophy. The second
was the only one I did. I got one from Uncharted 2.
The second one was earn 2 trophies where the trophy name contains 2 or more numbers. Then earn 3 silver trophies. Then earn a trophy with a ratio of 1.5 to 2.5 and 3. Ratio is like the rarity calculation that they use on true trophies.
Yeah.
Earn 5 trophies with the shop flag. The 6th one was weird. It was Hangman, but the word was 8 letters long, even though the other ones had been 6. And some people had 12 or 15, and it was just a Hangman based on video game stuff, so mine was Treyarch.
Yeah, not even holiday based.
Nope.
Right?
Just video game.
Jingle, or something like that, right?
Then I needed 7 trophies in open world, naval, or vehicular combat. Then 8 trophies from games in a series with 8 or more titles. Some of the series, the way they calculated series was a bit strange, because Control counted for that.
Which is so weird because, the series that it's in, it doesn't have 8 games.
No, but because there's different versions for different countries, it counts as a different game.
Which is stupid. Yeah, that's
then
dumb.
Earn trophies with a double L in the trophy name for the 9th day. Then earn 10 trophies that are all capitals. Thank you, Detroit, because all of their trophies are all block capitals. Earn 11 trophies where the name contains 1 character out of apostrophe, question mark, exclamation mark, full stop, and a quotation mark. That was just stupid.
Yeah.
And then the 12th one was cumulative plus or cumulative flag. So something like kill 30 robots with shock damage or
Right, yeah.
get 30 kills with the M79.
Yeah.
But I completed it.
Mm-hmm. You did. You had to do a bunch of different games, which is why I didn't. Well, one of the reasons why I didn't really want to do it after. Like, I did the first day just trying to see what it was, but what they were going to be. But once several of them started coming out, and you started, telling me what they were and how frustrating some of them were to get, I was just like, I don't want to have to start a bunch of new games,
Yeah, I wasn't intending to start as many as I did, and I won't be doing it again, but I'm glad I've done it once. And I wasn't intending to finish the year on 100%, so...
Yeah. I had some other goals that I was trying to do, and so I was needing to play some specific games, and I really didn't have time to, be fiddling with a bunch of things that were not the games that I needed to be playing for, like, my goals.
Yeah, and so what I was doing while I was doing the challenge was I would earn the minimum number of trophies I needed to complete the challenge, and then I stopped playing PlayStation completely so that I didn't inadvertently unlock a trophy I might need for a later challenge. So I actually played 2 Minecraft DLCs and a game on Xbox. Which is like the most I'd done all year.
One of the only games on Xbox that you did. What did you play?
Submerged Hidden Depths, which I'd done twice on PlayStation. It's nice and chill. It's just a bit of like exploration and collectibles and a neat little story. And then the 2 Minecraft DLCs. One was stupidly RNG based. You had to like find these rooms. They're like combat rooms underground, and then get a particular key to open a particular chest. And then the next thing you needed to do was get a particular item from that chest. And so I was like, okay, I got my key. Then I opened the chest and get the item. So I reloaded, did it again, same item. So the chests were locked to whatever item they were going to give. So then I spent several hours in creative mode, because you can on the Xbox make like a copy save of your world. So I played the copy save on creative, which disables achievements, flew around the world, used a little seed tracker thing to find out where the rooms were in my world. I think after the 5th one I finally got the mace head I needed, and then I needed to make the mace, and then the mace does damage based on how far you fall. But if you hit the ground, you die. And also, to get the damage that you need without enchanting it, which is a whole other thing, I thought I needed to hit an enemy mob, so like a skeleton or a zombie, but every time I climbed my ladder, like on my tower that I made to jump off into the pool of water, they all despawned. But then what I realised was you could use any mob, so I'm sorry, Donkey, but I had to tie you to a post and jump off a very large tower and hit you with a hammer. I got it done, and then 3 hours after I completed that DLC, they released the next one. So I had my 100% completion back for 3 hours.
That's just perfection.
And the next one had 1 achievement. And thankfully, it was really easy and really stupid. What it was is some new biome that they've got with some thing called a tree heart that you needed to place in a certain way. And all you needed to do was walk up to the tree, knock out the piece of wood from underneath the heart that's growing in it, and then place the piece of wood back, and the heart glows, and it gave me the trophy achievement. And I was like, can you just release a Series X version of Minecraft so I can be free?
Yeah. Can I tell you how much I am grateful that I never played Minecraft on
I
my
played
day.
a bunch of different versions. The trouble is, I should have not played this one. I should have just played the Xbox One version and the 360 version and not the Bedrock one. But sadly, I'm locked in.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
But you did it, and now
I-
you have your 100% back for now.
For now.
Dun dun dun.
Watch this space. So how about you? What was your first game of the month?
Oh, it was just a small game. It was Mass Effect 2, my 100th platinum.
A small game, she said. 100th platinum.
Ta-da! Confetti cannons!
That's a whole mess I would not want to have to clean up. Like
Confetti
glitter.
cannons in Rob's house so that I don't have to clean it up.
I'm not amused.
Confetti cannons in one of our enemies' houses so that they can clean it up and not either of us.
That's better. I'm not in the mood to clean up. I would just leave it. And then wait
Right.
till you come visit and be like, this is your mess.
So, yay, yes, I hit my 100th platinum, did it on my favorite game, Mass Effect 2, you know. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, there is a lot to say about Mass Effect 2.
But not
In
a lot
fact,
that we
I
haven't
have.
said before.
Yeah, in fact, I have a playthrough of that I'm still releasing, slowly but surely, on my channel. But, you know, where I go through and, you know, it's me playing the game and I'm analyzing all the things and talking about what I think about the characters and the story and stuff. But, I mean, in short, you know, it was the one that I wanted for my 100th because it's a significant, you know, it's the first, like, I guess, really significant milestone for PlayStation. I feel like 100 plats is like where you've arrived as a trophy hunter,
Yeah.
right? And so I wanted it to be, you know, a really important game to me, and Mass Effect 2 is a really important game to me. It still stands as my favorite game, I think, of all time. And
Mine
it was
too.
nice to go back and play it and spend some time with the characters again and, you know, get that plat.
It's like
And
Mass Effect
it's-
2 for me was like this is how games should be. This is how good
Yeah.
they can be. And
Yeah. In terms of story, in terms of characters, in terms of just the overall package, right?
Yeah.
Like, the gameplay was fun. The story was good. The characters were amazing. And, like, the focus of that game is much more on the individual characters within the world, more so than the sort of world at large. You're seeing small pieces, small
Yeah.
windows.
it makes it more
into that.
relatable. And it also
It's-
and it's also taken over into the final mission,
yeah,
and that's what I
Yeah.
think made it really feel like it mattered. Because sometimes you do a bunch of things in some games and it's like that really did nothing, and I'm disappointed. But it's like I did all this stuff and it actually meant something. Excellent.
right, yeah. And having the different ways that things can go in the end based on, you know, what you've done throughout the game and the choices that you make in terms of assigning people at the end, right? It's just, it culminated really well, and it's just great, right? Like, I don't know that there's much more to say than we've already said about
Yeah.
it in previous. It's
So-
just, it's an awesome action RPG.
So you got your 100th plat in December, and I
Mhm.
got my 100th plat as my first plat in January.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we
both,
got
we both
our
hit
100
100 this
plats.
year.
in 2024.
Yeah.
And mine was Demon Souls, which I'm really happy that I did as my 100th, because it's
Mhm.
like, it's what began the Souls series, and Dark
Yeah.
Souls 1 is one of my favourite games of all time, and so
Mhm.
it was a nice homage. And also,
Yeah.
like, my first, like, one of my first PS5 plats. I actually did Astrobot, I
Mhm.
think, is my first. But
Yeah. Astro's Playroom, right?
oh yeah, because it's Astrobot.
Because
Yeah,
there's
not that
Astrobot
one.
now, and just not to confuse, right? But boop. But yeah, so that was my first one of December. I had been working on it in November, but I finished it early December and popped that 100th platinum and checked that off of my list for my goals for this year.
Very nice. So, my first platinum came after I'd finished the 12 Days of Christmas challenge, and it was in Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition.
Woo!
So I'd played that on Xbox quite a while ago. At this point, I think like 2015, 2014. I think I started it 2014.
Yeah, wow, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a good like Metroidvania platformer game with upgrades, and the combat works well. The art style's great. It's like Mexican Day of the Dead luchador fun times, like very colorful. I actually found it a lot easier than I did the first time.
Oh yeah.
Like the bits that I struggled on the first time, I was like, oh, neat. I got that done.
Yeah. Do you think it's just because you are so much more experienced than you were 10 years ago?
I think so.
Before?
I've played it before. Because there's one area I remembered like struggling with was a place called Treetops, and you have to get one of the like orbs that you need for the best ending from there, and it's a bunch of like insta-kill cogs that you got to try and like navigate through, and it's a very specific path to get through. And it's funny because I was doing it with a broken controller because my A button doesn't work and I have stick drift. Thankfully, I got a new one for Christmas from my adventure bestie, and so I have a nice PS4 controller that works very very well. But yeah, I got through it in like about 10 attempts. I was like,
nice.
Oh, done. Great.
That is awesome. My next game that I did was on the Xbox. I booped over to the Xbox. I was trying to finish up my goals for the year, and so I had a couple more. So
there a beep, boop, 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 beep?
Yeah,
like around.
And so I had a couple more games left on Xbox, on my Xbox backlog that I needed to finish up, and so the first one that I did was Crysis 3 to complete the Crysis Remastered trilogy. And I had never played Crysis 3 before. I had played Crysis 1 and 2 in the past on the 360, so the remastered versions were good, except for, you know, the achievements not working. Like, it was broken somewhat. At the first game especially.
That's sad.
But the third one, I didn't run into any problems with things unlocking, I don't believe. And it was nice to finally play that one. I never played it before on the 360 version because it had DLC and it had a bunch of multiplayer stuff in it.
Did you play 1 and 2 on the 360,
yeah,
but not 3?
But not 3.
Cool.
And like 2 had really grindy multiplayer achievements, and so yeah, that put me off of 3, and then 3 also had DLC, and so I was just like, no, I think I don't need that in my life, you know. But this one, obviously it was the remastered version. It didn't have any multiplayer on it, and it was just the game. And so that was nice. And it was good. I enjoyed it, actually. I don't know. I feel like it's close between that one and Crysis 2 as to which one I like the most, but it was quite good. I liked the story. It was a nice kind of conclusion to the trilogy. You still had your nano suit, which, you know, alternates between the power suit, right, which lets you, you know, pick up really heavy things and throw them and take a bunch of damage, and then the stealth mode, which makes you invisible, and you can like sneak around and such.
My brain initially heard Nana suit, and I was thinking, you can dress as a grandma in that game? You can shoot people as someone's granny.
Yeah.
Granny's had enough!
Granny's had enough of your alien ass! No. So, yeah, you still have both of those modes to it, and then you also have, they introduced the bow and arrows, because I think every game that was coming out around then was like, people like bows, we want to give them one.
Everyone likes ranged combat these days.
Everybody likes bows and arrows.
Because the thing is like, when I think of Crysis, because I've never played the games, I always think you have a bow. Because I guess I saw artwork for 3.
Because that's the
and assumed it was all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
funny.
It was like, Tomb Raider had come out, and a few other things where you had bows. And so this was on trend for that. But it was cool. Like, it had different types of arrows that you could equip. So you had explosive arrows, and you had incendiary arrows, and you had some different ones, and that was cool. So, and I think you had hacking in this one, which was either not in the others, or it was a little bit more to it in this one. Like, you could hack turrets, and you could hack doors, and you could hack barricades and things like that. Just different stuff to help you get around the terrain and whatnot. And so yeah, it was good, and it had a really cool ending for the story. So I quite enjoyed that, and was very happy that all of the achievements unlocked, as they should have. Woohoo!
It is nice when that happens after you've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
My next platinum was The Outer Worlds on PS5. I decided out of the games I've started, I wanted to play through that one again. It's just a fun older style RPG that makes me think of like the older like Fallout 3 and New Vegas and Knights of the Old Republic is what I was trying to think of. My brain had forgotten. It's been a long time. Those kind of style RPGs where like the protagonist is silent and you like choose your dialogue options, which is nice. The areas are not massive. It doesn't feel like there's too much busy work, which is nice. There's like several like do different kills and stuff. So like get 50 companion kills and turn people to ash with plasma 100 times. But like you can grind them out fairly quickly if you want to, depending on like what playstyle you're doing. I like the companions as well. Like I feel like they all have like interesting little stories, and they feel kind of distinct from each other. There's not too many of them. It's also an interesting take on like if corporate companies owned like were the government effectively, where it's like making money and profits were the like be all and end all, which it kind of is in real life, but isn't quite to that extent.
Right. It's a satire, right? Like it's a parody of the extreme version of reality.
Yeah, it's like capitalism gone mad. And it's like there's different. You can play it slightly differently as to like which factions you side with, and so you can get slightly different endings. And it gives me the like Fallout New Vegas vibes or Fallout 3 vibes, where you get like the scenes at the end talking about the repercussions of what happened.
Yeah.
It has 2 DLCs, Peril on Gorgon and Murder on Arianas. I think that's how you pronounce it. I like the murder mystery on Arianas. I thought that was fun, but Gorgon just kind of didn't really hit home for me. It just kind of felt like more of the, like many times with DLC, more of the same, but not so good.
More of the same, but not as good as the main story stuff.
Yeah, and I think also because I was I'd done a couple of playthroughs because I'd done one partial playthrough while I was getting trophies for the challenge, and then I did a full playthrough for my other one, like my main story one and my like companion playthrough. I was kind of like, yeah, I would kind of like to be done with this because it just feels like extra stuff that I don't particularly like. It's not bad, it's interesting, but I think it's also a little bit of the like, I have burnout from this game because I've played a lot of it, and I have burnout from the whole year because I've done a lot of gaming.
Yeah,
and so I think
it's that fatigue that kind of it makes something worse than it might actually be, right?
Yeah, potentially, or it makes you have less patience than you would maybe normally have for certain things, and you're also doing it to a time limit. So whereas like I might have gone, oh, I'll do the DLC later, which I have done on a few games. I don't always do that because sometimes I'm like, I might forget how to play this game. It's probably a good idea to do the DLC.
It's probably a good idea to do it now.
But when it's like the Outer Worlds and you put it on easy, like story mode difficulty, it really the combat's nothing. You can just have your companions pulverize people.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. So, the next thing that I did was a Games Pass game, actually. I played this one, as has been a trend, because it was going off of Games Pass, and I wanted to play it, and it was on the shorter side of things, and it's called Close to the Sun. It's a little action-adventure, first-person game, where you play as this lady. Oh my gosh. I think it's during the 1800s. It's when Nikola Tesla was alive.
Yeah, that would be 1800s.
And because he's in it. And basically you get a letter from your sister who had been recruited by Tesla to go to his...
It would probably be late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah. So, her sister had been recruited by Tesla to his, like, elite group of, like, researchers, who were on this big ship, called the... Oh, goodness. Helios? I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was this big ship, and they were researching, trying to make clean energy for the world. Basically, they were trying to do that, but something had gone terribly wrong.
Terribly wrong.
Yeah, it had gone terribly wrong there, and so you get there, and like things are all messed up. Everybody's dead. And they've had a quarantine, right? The ship is on quarantine. And you're trying to figure out what's happened and how it's connected to the research that they're doing, and how to save your sister and get out of the ship. And so it's kind of like I don't know that I would necessarily call it a horror game, although it has some of that horror feel to it. It has kind of a little bit of a flavor. On the Scorn scale, I would say that it's maybe like a 2.
Okay, so there may be a little Scorn.
Yeah,
it's more like a fleshless chicken wing rather than a full fleshless chicken.
Yeah, I mean, there is some weird stuff in there, and there is a little bit of like suspense and like chase sequences and whatnot. And I don't want to say too much about the story to it, because that's what's cool about it. But it has like some puzzle elements and whatever.
Main thing.
Yeah. It has some puzzle elements to it. It's an interesting setting. It has some neat like twists to the story and whatnot. And the The achievements, though, annoyed me a little bit because it had one where you needed to complete the game without dying, which isn't super difficult, but they have several of these chase sequences throughout, and if you turn the wrong way or get tripped up on something, or, you know, if you make a mistake, it's very quick that you might just get caught and die. Like, those are the sequences. There's no real fighting. You don't really fight anything. It's more like action and puzzle solving and running away from things.
Run away.
That might be hurting you. And so, but some of the chase sequences are kind of tricky in terms of pulling them off if you don't know exactly which way to go. But I managed to do that on my second playthrough. And I thought that I had completed the game in less than 3 hours, but it had to have been counting time that I was paused.
Right.
As well. Because, like, I was following a guide to make sure that I kind of knew where those chase sequences were and which way to go and whatever to not die, right? And so I would pause and watch part of the guide and then play. And it had to have been counting the time that I was paused, because
That's
you know, there's no
irritating.
way that it took more than 3 hours of actual play time that second time through. The first time I just kind of played through, enjoyed the game, and it was good. And then the second time I was hopefully going to clean up those last 2 achievements, but yeah, I ended up having to do it a third time, which sort of annoyed me, even though it only took like an hour and a half on the third playthrough, because I knew the game pretty well at that point, and I didn't have to worry about not dying, so I could just kind of like push through the story. And I knew how to solve all the puzzles and navigate the environment and all that stuff by that point. But yeah, it kind of annoyed me there because I was hitting the sort of push to the end of the year. Otherwise, it wouldn't have bothered me, you know, because the game is short, it was enjoyable, and it didn't take very long to go back and play it again and get that achievement cleaned up. But I was concerned that it had like glitched and I was gonna have to
Delete your save
all my
and
saves
do all that
and-
jiggery pokery.
yeah, instead of but it unlocked and it was good. So I enjoyed the game. I was glad that I played it before it went off of Games Pass, but it's one of those ones where it's like, if you can find it on a sale and it's something that sounds interesting to you, then it's worth a play. So,
Nice. So, my next game was a co-op game, and it was We Were Here Forever.
hey, that was my next game too.
Amazing. Yeah, it was a fun We Were Here game. I think
Yeah.
the puzzles were good.
Mhm.
It was longer, which was kind of nice actually.
Yeah.
And I will say overall, it was probably my favorite, like,
Yes.
We Were Here game that we've played.
I agree. Yeah, like I think it had a good amount of substance with the story. The puzzles were good, although as we kind of talked about it after we played it, you know, and you made a good point. Like there were some really good puzzles in the second one. We Were Here too.
Yeah, it's either 2 or 3. It's one that involves like killing a plant and us having to grow things and combining things.
Yep,
And then,
different
like,
seeds and stuff.
Different
and-
seeds, and then like one that's like a potion maker, and I have the
Mhm.
pictures and the names of the plants, and you had all the potions, and we had
Yep.
to like combine them or discombine them into different things, and
Yeah.
like that one I
Those
think
were really good.
has the best puzzles, but this one was consistently the best.
Yeah, and the mechanics worked really well, whereas like in Expeditions the Friendship, there was that one puzzle where it relied on just the mechanics of the game, and you had to do it like precisely, but the latency between the two players made that difficult, and the like jump mechanic and stuff wasn't exactly great, and so that made
especially
that
last bit with like the invisible road being chased by a giant boat was
and you could just fall off really fast. That one puzzle kind of, it really hurt that game, in my mind. But this one
also I think I was really annoyed at it.
Yeah. Well, we were also, the first time we played it, we were trying to get it done fast because it was for my last year's 12 days of Christmas challenge.
And the fun fact is, we got the plat on the same day. So we were here, the friendship, we got on the 26th of December, at least for me, 2023, sorry.
Yep.
And then we were here forever, we got the plat on December 26th, 2024.
Yep.
And it was a Christmas plat in both cases for you.
Both of those were Christmas Day. But to speak about We Were Here Forever, I think, like you said, there was more puzzles, and they were all good. Like, I enjoyed all the different sections and whatnot, even the underwater one.
The underwater one was fine. I was just waiting for jump scares, and thankfully there really weren't any.
Yeah. It was just overall, there seemed like there was more to it, like you said, like it was longer than some of the others. And so it was definitely,
it might be the third one that has the really good puzzles.
We Were Here Together. Yeah, I was like, what are they called? So it's We Were Here 2, We Were Here Together.
We Were Here Together. We Were Here Expeditions, the Friendship, and We Were Here Forever. It's the third one. Because the second one is the one where you have to do like a perfect run and turn all the switches in the rooms.
Yeah.
And the first one you have to do a perfect run because the trophy / achievement is badly explained. Where it's like you can't make any mistakes on any of the
puzzles.
On the puzzles.
Yep. But those are much shorter games.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is
they're like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah. Is a helpful.
This one had a few timed ones, but it felt more like they just reset and then you did them again rather than you died and had to start again, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know why that made a difference, but it did to me.
Good checkpoints make a big difference in a game. Not having to redo a bunch of stuff that you've already done. And I don't know that we've had to look up a bunch of help for a lot of them, but we didn't look up anything on this one for sure.
No, we didn't. I think the only ones I ever remember looking up stuff for was there was one that had 4 nights that you had to move on. They were in one room with one person and the other person had the switches to move them. And we had to figure out we had to pull the levers in a certain order to have them all move in a certain way, and I think we had looked up that one as to how to get it done. And then there was another one with building a bridge with different planets on, and we had to move the circles around because we couldn't figure out what it wanted us to do.
Yeah.
Those two I remember looking up, but this one...
Yeah. And I mean, I think that shows, that's... A good puzzle design is one where at first you look at it and go, what is this? What does it need me to do? But then, you look at it and you start talking about it when it's the co-op thing, right? Like, you start talking about, well, I can see this and I can see that. Can you see something that looks like this? Or can you see these symbols? And you start talking about it and then you figure it out.
Something moved. What did you touch?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where did you step? What did you do? And you start to figure it out, and then it becomes clear, and then you kind of know what it's wanting you to do, right?
Yeah, there was one where it's like you can only step on certain platforms, and I was trying to tell you all the platforms you could step on, and you were like, just tell me the 3 I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. It just made it much easier in my brain, right? So like that's that I think that's good design, right? Where it's like it seems difficult at first, but then it clicks.
Yeah.
You know? I think puzzle design can get a little bit when it becomes frustrating when you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. You know? I think that's when I get frustrated with it. And we're both pretty intelligent humans. And so if it's something that we can't figure out what it's wanting us to do, right? I feel like either that's because we missed something, you know,
Obvious.
we missed something obvious, we missed an instruction, and then that's on us. But I think more often than not, it's because the design is a little bit stupid.
Poorly explained.
Yeah, it's not yeah, it's just not implemented well, because sometimes puzzle games will have something where they have you do something that they've never introduced before, right? And like that's not good design, right? Like what something is asking you to do should be led up to by showing you how to do the things that you need to do for that one, and then it builds upon that, right? So thinking of something like, you know, Portal 2, you know, you get the blue portal and you get the orange portal, and then you get the like different goops, and it introduces each element before it asks you to use that element, right?
Oh, yeah, it'll be like, oh, this goop makes you bounce this way, and this makes you bounce the other way, and then it's like, and now you have control over the goop. So it's showing you what the goop does.
Yes.
You're like, you have no control over it. This is a goop pad. So you bounce on the goop pad, and it's like, oh. And then in the next room, it's like, well, now you can turn the goop pad on and off.
Right. Or you can put a portal there and it'll put goop somewhere, and then you can bounce off.
That's what I mean. It's like the way you control stuff is portals.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's like, this goop is now on this wall.
And so, yeah, it introduces the element and then gives you more that you can do with the element. And so that increases the complexity of the puzzles that you're trying to figure out. But it never feels frustrating because it's never asking you to do something that it hasn't already kind of introduced and put in your head as a thing that you can do, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, sometimes puzzle games will have stuff that it's like, I didn't even know that that was a mechanic that I could do. And that means that it hasn't introduced that well, right? So, was all I was trying to say. Anyway, We Were Here Forever was super fun, and it was great to play with you and my adventure bestie.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to whatever the 5th official one is going to be. Or if they have another Expeditions.
Yeah, if they have another mini one, you know, that.
Wait, we can do Expeditions on Xbox, right? Cool.
And this. And forever, yeah.
Yeah. Watch this space. May happen again.
Maybe more We Were Here's in the future. It's a fun co-op series.
Yeah, it is.
So, and that was actually technically the last game that I finished in 2024.
Technically.
But I'm including this last one here because I finished on January 3rd, and I played it a lot during December. And that is Mass Effect 3 on Xbox. So I finished off my Mass Effect Legendary Edition over on Xbox. I hadn't played 3, I think, since it released.
No, you haven't.
And so...
You flat out refused.
Yeah, so it was neat to go back and finish it. I still have the plat to do on PlayStation and to finish up all the, you know, extra trophies on PlayStation. But I wanted to get this one on Xbox done because it was on my Xbox backlog, and that kind of finished out my Xbox backlog, which was cool. And And because they have all of the achievements on the same list for Xbox, you have to do the Insanity run as well. It's not like separated out like it was on PlayStation. So I was like, I'm running out of time during the year. Screw it. I'm just gonna play on Insanity and see how it goes. Just right out of the gate.
And
thankfully, it wasn't too hard. Honestly.
No,
like,
three's Insanity is pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
especially with the build you had.
Yeah, it definitely. And I mean, I was carrying over my character, so I started at a higher level. I was like level 30 or something, and I made sure to like spec out Garrus, and then later Ashley when she fully joined my squad with assault rifles of death and doom and destruction. And the combination of my shepherd, who was a sentinel, so I have the tech and the biotic abilities that can combo with either. And so I pretty much always took Liara because we could biotic combo together really well. Like, her singularity is beast, and I could set that off. I could detonate that with my warp or my throw, and so we comboed together really well. And then I either had Garrus or Ashley as my third most of the time, except in situations where you had to have someone else, right? And yeah, we just destroyed things. Like, that combination was amazing. And I really enjoyed playing through 3 again. I don't like the, main story and ending any better now than I did back when I played it originally.
The look on your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's always gonna be a bitterness, right?
Yeah.
Because it was just, at the time, it was so disappointing, but I think enough time has passed and I have some emotional distance from it now, and I knew what to expect, that it didn't feel as much of a like punch to the face as it did initially when I played it, and I was able to play through and just enjoy the parts of the story that are really, really good, because a lot of the story is really good.
Yes.
A lot of the main quest stuff, a lot of the character stuff, a lot of the character arcs, and kind of the main side arcs coming together. So like the Tuchanka stuff and the Rannoch stuff, and then some of the Citadel stuff, and just the different characters and everything, and their storylines kind of culminating, was all really good stuff. It
ramps up some of the characters that you've grown to love over the series really well.
Yes. And a lot of them feel like it just feels like very much natural progression from their characters in 2, and that's really awesome. It's great payoff, right? Yeah. And some of, I think, the best writing in the series, and then also the worst writing in the series with the ending and stuff. And it still just makes me wonder, what would have happened if Carpathian hadn't left the company before 3.
Yeah.
And what might have happened if they had been given more time to produce the game, because I think it was only it was 2 or 3 years later that it came out. And so...
That sounds about right, yeah.
And so they just... They for sure rushed it out the door, and that was pressure from EA. Because they wanted to, continue to make money. off of the Mass Effect series. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just makes me wonder what it could have been if they had been given a little bit more time, and if maybe some of the writing staff hadn't already departed. But I think that what we got, yeah, I'm still really happy with how it ended most of the stuff in the trilogy. So
yeah, it's like if you take the main plot out, it would have been a good game.
Which is
it would have been a
weird to
better
say.
game.
It would have been a better game. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. I feel like they could have made some little changes, and it would have worked, right? Like, they could have kept their main plot, even though it's kind of cliche and whatever, right? Like, they could have kept it as it was. They just needed a better ending. They needed a better resolution.
The reason for everything happening was just dumb.
Yes.
And the explanation, especially in the original one, not including the extended cut, was dumb. Because we didn't question anything.
Right.
We were just like, cool.
Oh,
and even
great.
with the extended cut, it's still not great.
It's like, it makes it better, but it's still not good. Right?
Because one of my favorite things to think about in that situation is, right, Starchild controls the Reapers. I'm spoiling
Spoilers!
stuff. The game's
a billion years old now.
A billion years old at this point. Starchild controls the Reapers. And then you get there and you're talking to it. And it's like, if you control them, could you just like turn them off for the moment? Like, could you say stop?
Yeah, like, hey, stop.
So that we can have a proper conversation. Like, suddenly the time constraint is gone. And then we can go, I'm not sure if we're the best person to make this decision, because there's a whole bunch of other people that might want to have a say in how we figure out how the galaxy is going to be changed.
Right.
Could we like bring them in? Could we have a little council?
It probably shouldn't just be me.
But for some reason, it's like, I guess because we're beat up to shit, maybe. But it's almost like there's an arbitrary time limit, as if we've got to make the decision now.
Right.
And it's kind of like, why? Us being here means that time limit doesn't mean anything now.
Right. If us being here is the thing that has convinced you that, like, maybe there's other options, that we could pursue.
And could you put us through to our fleet to tell them to stand down?
Right.
Stand down, please.
Yeah.
I'm with the big boss Reaper dude. He's some weird kid. I'm not I think I might be dead, but in the vain hope that I'm not, and this isn't some fever dream I'm having while I'm dying on the ground, could you stop shooting the Reapers?
Because that's what the entire ending feels like, is a fever dream that you're having.
It's a fever dream as you're dying. And some people were so annoyed with the ending that was their canon. It was that it was like we'd been indoctrinated or we were dying.
Yeah.
But it's almost like
because
the
that
impetus
makes
there
more
at the
sense.
end.
Right? And I think that's why the indoctrination theory and everything became so popular, was because people couldn't believe that was the real ending because it was so stupid. Right? Like, it felt so... like it just did not fit at all with the rest of the story and with the rest
you
of
would
the
need
game.
something else there to motivate you to do the thing. The crucible's going to explode. There's a Reaper sat on top of it that's shooting at you. Rather than I'm having a nice conversation with something.
With this AI overlord.
Yeah. But you're the only one that made it here, so you're the only one qualified.
Right.
Wait, what? I mean, I'm Commander Shepard. I might be qualified. But also, that's one hell of a decision to make. When it's not something that's time constrained.
Every person in the galaxy,
Spoilers for Mass Effect 1 and 2. Save the council and let the council die. That's a decision you have to make in that moment. Because if you decide one way or the other, like, your ships are flying by. If you don't say a word, they're like, see ya.
Yeah.
And then
those
Mass Effect
decisions
2.
make sense, right? Because it's like, and it makes sense that they're time constrained, like you said.
And it's like Mass Effect 2. To keep the base or destroy the base, it's like there's a bunch of collectors around. If we hang around, someone's going to find us and kill us.
Mhm.
So we need to make the decision now as to whether we keep it or not, and then leave.
Right.
But like, oh, I control stuff. I could turn everything off, but we're going to have this conversation as if there's an arbitrary time limit.
Right, yeah.
But the arbitrary time limit is Shepard's kidney's going to fall out, so he's going to...
Right, but like, if you know, you just like called off your Reapers there for a second, like some medical treatment could be here to, you know, help me, and then we could have this council and discuss what's going to happen moving forward. Because it doesn't feel like a decision that you should make to like have those incredible consequences for the
Decided
entirety
so
of
quickly.
life moving forward forever, you know.
Yeah. It's just that just thought just wandered into my head while you were talking about it, and I
Yeah.
was like, huh.
Yeah.
I just have a keeper here who happens to have an Omnigel or a Medagel dispenser.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I realized that you were really badly injured and we needed to have an important conversation. I didn't want you dying because I'm some really intelligent being. But
Yeah.
I forgot that you're like bleeding to death.
Right. Yeah. I don't
What
know.
it really smacks of is manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to persuade you that this is the right thing to do. Wink, wink.
Yes, you're bleeding out, you know, everybody's dying all around you. You have to make the decision fast. It's absolute like manipulator abuser mentality.
I'm gaslighting you. Quick, we've got to make a decision.
You have to make a decision. You don't have time to consult other people. You don't have time to like do whatever. You have to decide now.
You've got some little kid following you like this. Come on, into the beam.
Come on. It's synthesis or nothing. That's the best choice. Like, yeah, it's just poorly written. Sadly the end of the story there is just that they did not execute that well at all, and they made some pretty big writing errors with the creation of that main story. And how they wanted it to conclude, you know.
We should have listened to Javik. We should just throw it out the airlock.
Throw it out the airlock. So yeah. But anyway, I finished Mass Effect 3. I did enjoy it, despite us, you know, we will just forever rag on it
forever.
Yeah. Just forever and ever and ever. It's just, it's inevitable.
Yep.
Right? It's unavoidable. It's just that bad and that annoying. You know?
This makes me think of Sovereign. You exist because we allow it, and you will die because we demand it. You exist, so therefore we will rag on you.
So therefore we will rag on you forever because, you know, it will just always be bad. Like there is no getting over that. But I enjoyed replaying through the game again, and I'm happy to like check that off of my backlog. And even though it was a couple of days into the new year, I'm still kind of counting that for 2024.
That seems fair. So my final game of the year was, well, my final platinum of the year was Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered.
Nice.
I wanted to have 5 Assassin's Creed plats by the end of the year as like a little like internal goal, because I come up with goals on the fly all the time.
Well, I think it's like when you get close to like a round number, you go, oh, I could do 5 of them. I have 4, I could do 5, and then it'd be 5.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it. It controls fairly well. It does have some instances of silliness where I'm like, please get down. Why are you jumping on the hedge? The guard is right there. The tree is right here. I need you to climb the tree. Nope, he's fallen on the guard, and now I have to reload. Again.
Yeah, a lot of the Assassin's Creed games have that jank in some spots.
Yeah, but it played well enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, when you've replayed the same memory 17 times because you keep messing up one bit, and it's like, it really shouldn't be this hard. And then you
Right.
realize you were being a dumbass and going the wrong way. But still, it was very similar to Black Flag. It did have cheats, and you needed to do achievements/trophies with the cheats on, so that made it a little bit different, where you could make yourself like invincible. I mean, it disabled saves, but it enabled me to do the legendary ship at the end. That's really, really hard, and I just went, I've done it legit once, twice. I'm not doing it again, and just put the easy mode on and blew it to pieces.
Yeah.
And then found out that there was a workaround to the not saving by leaving the animus, and then it saved the game. And so when I went back in, the cheat had turned itself off, but it had saved my progress, and I was like, oh, great. I now have the outfit for beating all the ships.
Da-na-na-na.
Yeah. It's interesting how it slots in and fills in a few little gaps in the Kenway story, as I call it, where it's like Edward Kenway through Haytham through Connor. So
yeah.
Black Flag and 3 and Unity technically is in that period.
Yeah.
And Rogue, obviously.
Yes.
The one I played. But I was meaning other games that slotted in. So that was my last plat of the year, and then I decided I wanted to hit the end of the year on a nice round number of trophies. So I played some of the games that I'd already started for the challenge. I played some Prey and just kind of messed around in it, and I was like, I'm not going to follow a guide. I'm just going to do some stuff and see what happens. And then I ended up right near the end and was like, okay, I can do some stuff here. And so I got a bunch of powers trophies done, which I would need to do a different playthrough for anyway. And I think I only have 2 left. So I'm like, I'll get back to that, do those 2, and then just do a non-powers run. And then I did a little bit of Phoenix, I think. And I ended the year on 7,600 trophies. That was a nice, done. And 180 platinums.
Yay! Very cool. So you did 81 platinums.
In 2024.
In 2024. Which is crazy.
We'll go into more detail on that when we do our wrap-up, the year wrap-up one. But I just wanted to, that was where I ended December on. So
yeah,
well enough. I did well enough. I did madness, is what I did.
Yes, you did.
I'm still on the come down from that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel like December was a nice for both of us. Aside from the madness of the 12 Days of Christmas challenge for you, because I know that was kind of stressful and whatever.
Yeah. Well,
but
when
the rest
when
of it
several
felt
of them early on felt annoying, I was like, what are they going to be with the 10 and 12 and 11 days? And I was like, no.
Yeah, it felt like a nice, sort of reasonable month in terms of how much we played and how much we did together and how much we did separately, and all that.
Yeah, I think
stuff.
Somewhere between 3 to 4 plats a month, I think, will be nice going forward, and not 14 or some of the other crazy numbers I got up to last year.
Yeah, you had some really big months in terms of number of things that you pushed through. And I think I felt a little bit of pressure toward the end of the year, because it was coming up toward the end of the year and I still had Mass Effect 3 that was a pretty long game that I was trying to complete, especially since I was trying to do the whole thing in as short amount of time as possible, but I also wanted to enjoy it, so I wasn't gonna skip through all the dialogue and everything,
Right.
I could have probably finished it before the end of the year if I had done that, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to enjoy the game. And so I was feeling like trying to finish up my goals, you know, was a little bit stressful because I had put a couple of them to the end. I had left a couple of them to the end, and I just ran out of days in the year, you know.
Whereas I was like laser focused on days, so I think I did fine because I'd been focused all year on getting to this point by the end.
Yeah. I mean, and I was too. I think I hit a point toward the end of the year where I was like, you know, I'm not feeling like doing a couple of the things that I had set out to do. So like I didn't do Watch Dogs Legion DLC. And I kind of decided in November, I think, that I was like, I'm not going to push myself to get that done because I have too much that I need to finish here at the end of the year. And that's a pretty lengthy DLC. Because, well, I mean, it's playing through the game again, right? So it's a pretty long and difficult kind of a thing because it's permadeath mode, right? And so I was just like, I'm not feeling like doing it. I'm not going to push myself to do it. And so, you know, I tried to be a little bit relaxed with myself toward the end of the year. I had a really good year. And so I was like, you know, if I don't quite finish up this last game, you know, by December 31st, like the world is not going to implode, right? Like I'm still doing what I wanted to do, which is get through, you know, some of these games that I had on my
for me it was like, well, I've got to the end of the year with a bunch of games I've started, but I got that challenge done, and there was no way I was gonna finish all those games by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I actually made a point of doing it so that I wouldn't cry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I make it so I can't have 100%, I'm not going to be panicking about, like, what game do I start? Have I got enough time to do this or that? And
right. Do I have enough time to finish it by the end of the year?
To get to 100% and then make it so we couldn't play co-op games. And so I was like, no, that'll be a goal for someone else. But I don't really want to go into, like, too much detail about goals and the year and such. Yeah. Because we have another video.
We will be doing that in another video where we talk about our goals and wrapping up our stats and our goals and stuff for 2025. But that was our December wrapped up. I did, was it 5 games? Mass Effect 2, Crisis 3, Close to the Sun, We Were Here Forever, and Mass Effect 3.
Yep. And I started 10 new games. I got 4 plats. I finished 2 Minecraft DLCs and did a game on Xbox. So I technically finished 5 games as well.
Yeah.
And a DLC.
Very nice. Yeah. So a good little wrap up to the year.
Indeed.
So hope you guys had a good end of your 2024 and a good beginning to your 2025. Let us know how your December went and what you're up to. We always enjoy hearing about that stuff.
Indeed.
And we will see you for the 2024 wrap up is probably the next one that we will do.
Yep.
So, yeah, we will see you then.
Bye-bye.